Yes, people. Yes, yes, yes. Cheers. Here's to you fine folks. Mm, lovely stuff. Hope everybody is having a splendid Thursday. My Thursday's been alright. It's been pretty chill. Nothing too crazy going on. Just taking it by the hour. And sooner or later, it'll be Friday, and then the weekend will be here. So, hooray! Especially to all of those who are working 9 to 5s and daily, whereas my job can't even afford to get me working longer than a day per week. Even if it's a full day, then hooray to me, lucky me. But I need to go get me some more dough. I need to get me some big dough, some massive dough, and fingers crossed I can get that sorted out hella soon. But there are a few things we've got to talk about today. But before the fact that we get into the things, make sure that you are smashing a like on the content and subscribing if you have not done so already. Gotta make sure we push ourselves up the algorithm, people. Share the content around, spread it far and wide. It is all good content. It is thought-provoking content, shall we say. But what we have to discuss today is last night. A little bit about last night. Los Blancos. It was uh, it was not L Os Blancos. It was W Los Blancos. Unfortunately, it was L United. But yeah, it's been a bit of an eye opener, I think, with that game last night. Bit of an eye opener, bit of a reality bite, and a bit of a wake up call for this club into sorting its business out and doing it sooner rather than later. Because I'll tell you one thing: what we don't want to be doing is being underprepared for any portion of the season for what it's worth. And we have got Wolverhampton Wanderers, what, like 2 3 weeks away now. Like, the season is seriously fast approaching, and it is not slowing down. So obviously we've had plenty of games to play across pre-season, which is good, very good in terms of fitness wise. But it's painting a picture. It's painting a picture for us, and I suppose one of the things that the season was looking like prior to the Real Madrid game is that Ten Hag is getting things ticking, and football is looking good. We're starting to play a style, a fashion that is recognisable and would look very much like it's an exciting prospect. And essentially, fingers crossed, what happens with this football is that that's what's becoming implemented during the season, and not starting off the season losing 2-1 to Wolves and then going to Tottenham Hotspur and losing 4-0 away. Fingers crossed that that's not in any realm of possibility, even though it technically is, but that we don't have any sightings that that's going to be any sort of outcome. So fingers crossed that things do not continue from the sense of losing 2-0 to Real Madrid. Some will say, but it's Real Madrid. You know, you're playing against probably, yeah, up there with Manchester City, the best club in the world. We didn't play poorly, to say the least. We didn't play poorly. Um, at least I'll take that side of things as any form of positives. Thought the because I didn't watch the game, I was just confined to watching the highlights from the game because it was at 1:30 this morning, and after doing a 3-hour stream on Longhaired Yeti's channel, big ups to him, where we literally discussed a whole heck of a lot of things to do with football and a whole heck of a lot of things to have absolutely nothing to do with football. I was absolutely knackered. come the end of the day. So I was lights out at the time that the game was being played. But yeah, not the most fantastic result by any means, but performance wasn't the worst in the world. So I mean, I'll tell you one thing that I think is probably being witnessed right now is a bit of overreaction, perhaps. Maybe there's a bit of an overreaction going on. I know that this it was Andre Onana's debut against Real Madrid, and he had some pretty good. Yeah, I think he had a pretty good showing, all things considered. You know, where some people will say, "Well, these conceded 2 goals, terrible performance." You know, oh, we shouldn't have lost David De Gea. Man, I'm just sort of like, well, if you wanna play both sides of the coin, uh, fine, we'll play both sides of the coin. First goal, Andre Onana, the guy probably shouldn't have been that far out off his line. It just invited the chip attempt from Jude Bellingham, which was a nice finish, by the way. Um, very nice finish, well taken. But aside from that, you know, Anana was faced with a few goal attempts as well, but he's dealt with the shots that he was faced with, not just in terms of like the shots that he's faced with, but also when the ball comes to him at the back, he looked like he was going like the system looked promising. The signs were very, very promising. We saw, yeah, Andre Onana being pressed, passing out from the back. You know, his distribution great with his left foot, great with his right foot, average positioning, taking pressure off of the back line with the defence. And everything just sort of shifted a couple of yards further up the pitch, and that's always a positive. And the fact of the matter is that we've had, you know, not a great showing, but then again, we still weren't getting battered, like conceding chance after chance after chance after chance. I mean, sure, it's Real Madrid; they're always going to create a mad amount of chances. I mean, Vinicius Junior had a pretty good game. Um, I think some people were hoping for perhaps of Wan-Bissaka to sort of keep him quiet, but it was an interesting formation that they approached the game with. That sort of Jude Bellingham in the number sort of 8 or 10 position, playing just behind the front two of inverted wingers. We're going to the land of the inverted. Um, but yeah, not a bad showing from Real Madrid by any means. So it's going to be interesting on their part to see how they do going into the new season. And we have got to turn our attentions to Borussia Dortmund, which I have no clue as to what day that game is on. So let's have a little looky-loo at when to expect that game to be played. Barcelona also had a good showing against. I mean, I say Barcelona had a good showing. Arsenal had a good showing against Barcelona. Um, just having a look at when we are playing Dortmund on the 31st, which is the 27th, Friday 28th, Saturday 29th. Yeah, so Monday, Tuesday time, basically. 31st, Monday. So we played Dortmund on Monday. Plenty of turnaround time. So there's plenty of work to do. There's plenty of things to rectify. Um, but all things considered, not a terrible performance. It's a crying shame about Kobe Minu as well. I mean, several minutes into the game, goes off with an injury, leaves the stadium on crutches. I mean, fingers crossed it's not a bad one. Fingers crossed. I think we saw with Amad Diallo when he went off, left the stadium on crutches after the Arsenal game. He was on the bench again today, and hopefully, for Kobe's sake, that's going to be the same thing, the same story there. I mean, hopefully, we can see him on the bench against Dortmund, or yeah, once Dortmund game's been played, we're flying back to Manchester/Dublin. Don't know what's going to happen with those games because it's going to have to be two completely different teams to play between Lens at or Lons, however it's pronounced. Playing Lons at Old Trafford on what is it, the 5th, and we're also playing in Dublin against Athletic Bilbao on the 6th. Question marks over what team is playing where. It's going to be interesting. Interesting prospects. We shall speculate. But yeah, not too bad with the way things are at the moment. But yeah, it's all right actually. Things are okay. I see that where people talk about Andre Onana saying that, obviously, I've gone over this already, but basically saying that the guy's, he's had a horrible performance. I mean, football, TNT Sports, this guy, these people, it's got a tick sign, chipped by Jude Bellingham, and then a tick of conceded a bicycle kick goal to Hosselu. A Man United debut to forget for Andre Onana. Do these people not watch 90 minutes of football? Do they not watch the game? Did they not see what Andre Onana had to offer Manchester United in that game? There's a lot of people, when the big accounts are asking their thoughts and feelings on the debut for the goalkeeper, and there's a lot of people talking about, well, he, he's done all right. I mean, there's way more people saying absolutely, yeah, that's all good. It was a solid showing. Then there's everyone else saying, oh no, David De Gea wouldn't have conceded 2 goals. Well, you're probably right. He wouldn't have conceded 2 goals. He probably would have conceded 3 or 4. Like, there's no secret about it. Like, we had other problems as to what led us to conceding those 2 goals. I mean, Hosselu was unmarked in the box at the time of taking the bicycle kick, but it was a ball played over the top for Jude Bellingham, which was actually offside. So, I mean, there's no VAR in pre-season, so I mean, it's no secret. It's no secret that with Jude Bellingham in being offside, it was a great finish. Don't get me wrong, but the goal should never have been a goal. But that's just like, that almost impacts the way you view the context of that first goal, and to where you criticise the defending team if the player is miles offside. It's like they're always going to have to play catch up. Even if the guy is the slowest player in the world, they're always going to have to play catch up to reach somebody who's been played offside, but no offside was given. It's always going to happen. But yeah, strong challenges by Lisandro Martinez again. And, again, shout outs for Jude Bellingham for not crying about it. Like the guy, yeah, sure, they had a bit of a push and a shove on the pitch whilst things were going on. Of course, that's just how it is, competitive football. And even Jude Bellingham was saying that it's just competitive football. This happens. Sometimes it spills during the thrills. And, it was all sort of amended after the game. And it's mutual respect. He said, look, Lisandro Martinez is a great player, fantastic player. And, we all just move on. It's what happens on the pitch stays on the pitch. And that's just the concept of football. So, and meanwhile, you'll still have people like Arsenal fans still crying about Lisandro Martinez challenging Bukayo Saka, and where he won the ball but took the player out afterwards. It's a strong challenge. And people are crying about, oh, but it's a friendly, it's not in the nature of the game. Whereas if they had Gabriel Magalhaes or is it Saliba or Timber completely wipe someone out, maybe just a 2-footed challenge where feet leave the floor, completely just destroys a Man United player, maybe they turn around and say, well, actually, that was a really good showing by our player. Really good showing. He's living up to competitive spirit. And it's like, seriously, it's just sometimes football fans cannot take what they give when it comes to their team getting beaten, right? And for us, Arsenal had to hold the L, where they actually had to hold 2 L's because they lost on penalty shootout as well. But we have to hold the L against Real Madrid. I mean, thankfully, it's Real Madrid that we lost to. Probably the pinnacle of football is their standards. Being the pinnacle of football is their standards. So it's no real shame in losing to Real Madrid in the context that is a pre-season friendly scenario. Um, and we're probably not going to see him this season. We're probably not going to see him this season unless we go super far in the Champions League and they, you know, do what they usually do and have deep runs in Champions League. So probably until say semi-finals or even finals of Champions League is when we'll probably end up seeing them. And we're, yeah, until then, you know, we've got other fish to fry. We've got other fish to fry. Um, I mean, Borussia Dortmund is the next fish that we've got to go fry. So let's turn the attention to Borussia Dortmund and let's go win that game. Let's get back onto winning terms, and hopefully we can do that without any quarrels, without any problems. Um, sure we will. I'm sure we will. Probably like a 2-0, 2-1 game against Dortmund. To be fair, I was sort of expecting it to be like a 3-2 game to either team, that both teams would score against Real Madrid, well, between us and Real Madrid, but evidently not. Very balanced statistically as well in the game. Garnacho had a sizzling shot which tested. I think it was Lunin was the goalkeeper at the time. But yeah, a really good shot from Garnacho to test the goalkeeper. But really, I think it's just both goals were very well taken goals from the Real Madrid perspective. I mean, Josselu's bicycle kick, yeah, sure, it's not challenged, and you know, he's got space to do it, and he's very close to the goal. So I think it was bound to go in, but it's just you have to make the strike count. You have to make the sweet connection for one, but two, the questions have to be around the defence. Where was the markers for Josselu? Where were our players marking their striker? Evidently nowhere to be seen. But we move. In other news, we have there was some worries, shall we say, some doubts, some concerns about the Rasmus Højlund transfer. As there was breaking news, I think it was last night or early this morning, that terms were apparently agreed between the players' camp and PSG. There's a lot of people that are concerned that, here we go again. We go so far with a transfer, we get so far with negotiations just to be piped to the player in a matter of days to hours. And it perhaps it could still end up going that way, but there's an element of it, of reassurance, that I would say on this saga, that we're probably not going to see this go the way of PSG snatching the player from underneath our noses. It's probably not going to be that any case of that, just simply because with Rasmus Højlund being a supporter, a fan of the club of Manchester United, we're probably not going to have any problems with or any doubts as to where it is Højlund wants to go. And I think it's still very much that we're in the driving seat of the deal, and it's all up to us. You know, we had the news breaking yesterday that Højlund had rejected a proposal. I mean, the bid that PSG have submitted to Atalanta is, I'd say, less than impressive compared to what it is that they're after, what they want. And it's literally just a 50 million euro bid up front, with all things considered. Just 50 million up front in euros. There you go. Bob's your uncle. And they've already said that they're prepared to walk away if that's not accepted. People talking about this morning that proposals were accepted by the players' camp, and maybe there is an element of truth about that, where there's basically saying, look, if the United deal cannot happen, then we'll just say, look, what PSG are offering sounds good. If I can't get a deal done with United, then I'm more than happy to go to PSG, and that's probably literally just what it is. There's no real desire or excitement about, oh yes, I'd love to go to PSG. It's all just like, well, there's my insurance policy if my desired move doesn't work. And with all possibilities and all things considered, we could end up finding that the Rasmus Højlund to United deal doesn't go through or doesn't happen. It's possible. It is possible that it could end up going all to pot. But as it stands, we've had another bit of breaking news from Fabrizio Romano regarding the transfer saga. That MUFC have scheduled a new round of talks with Atalanta for Rasmus Højlund this week, following their verbal bid of 60 million euros in total. PSG's bid falls short of Atalanta's expectations, so we've got more money on the table for the Atalanta player than PSG have, and PSG have already stated that they don't want to bid more than what they have already. So we're already in an advantageous position as it is, right? We already have we're like, I'd say, advantage point in a tennis rally. We're at advantage point. It's all just a case that we convert the point and we take the set, right? We take the game. And I think there's no real doubts that we can do that. That's going to be any problems on that front. So I've got no worries at all. But you guys, let me know what you think regarding the matter. Whether you think that Højlund is potential to go to PSG, or whether you're thinking it's all just smoke and mirrors, and there's nothing at all to be worried about. We're all still in cruise control. But this sort of ties in a little bit to the next point that I want to go on to here, which is in reflection to the Real Madrid game, for where we were lacking, for what perhaps we need in the squad moving forward. And my God, there are definitely things to speculate here, but we desperately need Sofyan Amrabat. We desperately need him. Rasmus Højlund is needed as well. 100%. We want a striker that can strike a ball, that can hold up play, can offer us something from the number 9's position. Because, I mean, Marcus Rashford was playing up top for us in that game against Real Madrid. But we didn't look like we were threatening them. We didn't look like we were properly threatening Real Madrid, or look like we had really many ideas as to how to put the ball into the back of Real Madrid's goal. We didn't really look like we had many ideas. It was some pop shots here and there. Garnacho obviously with a very nice strike from distance, but it's like we did this last season. We were shooting from miles out last season, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working. We need to have a system that we are capable and we are competent to build up, to get the ball into the box and finish from inside the box. That's what we need to aim to do. That's where we need to be a whole heck of a lot better. Be able to get the ball to the box and finish in the box. Stop cutting inside from outside the box and trying to shoot it far post. Stop trying to get the ball on the volley and shoot from distance. Stop trying to do that. Stop trying to shoot on the turn with a player already man marking you. Stop trying to do that. Like, try and work the ball into the box where it becomes much more of a guarantee that if you do get the shot away with some half yard spaces, that you're going to convert your chances into goals. And it's like, yeah, the common concept that we had last season is that sometimes we'd seen some wonder goals happen, but it's like Moments FC again. And we want to get as far away from Moments FC as possible. Don't get me wrong. Having great moments in a game are always bound to happen for teams with players that dare to do, right? Who dares wins. That's the nature of football. That's the nature of the beast at elite level football. You're always going to get some players that will take the opportunity or have a go from distance or something, and the ball gets struck so sweetly, so perfectly, that perhaps it goes for a knuckleball and it starts waving in the air left and right. That goalkeeper doesn't know how to judge that ball, and perhaps it just goes in, or maybe the goalkeeper's rooted to his spot. It's like, nah, that's going wide. Oh shit, it went in, top bins. That's always going to happen. But it's like we've become so reliant on those moments. Like everything else about what we do on the football pitch or how we play in possession doesn't really matter. And the sooner we can start to incorporate those build-up scenarios where we get the ball into the box, into the late stages, and we show a composure like we are absolutely in control of everything to do with the game, would be fantastic. Amrabat's going to help with that big time. Rasmus Højlund is going to provide a more sustainable threat closer to goal than we have in the form of Marcus Rashford, because the guy's a breakaway player. He plays on the run. We don't have, positionally, we don't have players like your Rashfords or like Anthony's or Sancho's close enough to the goal. So we need to find a way in which this team can push to be closer on average to the goal. And once we do that, then I think we'll be feasting. Then I think that's when you start to see it not matter who's actually playing up top. If you played Sancho, the guy could bag a couple of goals or even a hat trick if the average positioning for Sancho is much, much, much closer to the goal. But that's the thing. We don't hold on to the ball very well. We can have plans and ideas and pass the ball here and there, some one-touch football, transitioning, with the passing patterns of play and players running into positions off the ball. It's all well and good, but we're not close enough to the goal in enough of the time in the game, right? We're nowhere near close enough to the goal for on average. We've got to be much closer, and if we can have Amrabat added to this team as well as Rasmus Højlund, and ideally, I want to see us get both of those players in and training. Get them in this week before the Dortmund game. Before the Dortmund game kicks off, get both of these deals done. It's going to be, sure, people say it's going to be impossible to do, but it's possible. It's absolutely possible. It's just how competent this board actually is in getting the job done, and how hard they push for these transfers. We need to sell more players. So far, we've only sold Anthony Elanga, as well as a couple of youth players. That's not enough. That is not enough. We need more. We need more. We need more people at the door. We need more money coming in. Scott McTominay, half the price of what you're asking for. You're asking for 40 million. No, take 20 million. Harry Maguire, you want 35 million. No, take 20 million. I don't care. Just get these people out. Just please, please, for God's sakes, get these people out of the club. We just cannot continue with these people at this club, and prolonging what is loser mentalities or people that don't offer what the manager needs in terms of progressing his team from a footballing standpoint. We can't progress with Maguire in the team. We can't progress with Scott McTominay in the team. And I've seen people again saying, oh, Scott was the sharpest player. Shut the fuck up. I don't care. He's not. He wasn't. Stop making excuses, you absolute fucking dumb-wit pieces of shit. Seriously, stop it. He was not good because nobody in that midfield took control of the game. We need Amrabat in there. We need to control the game. It was proven again. So let's get the players to control the game. Control it. Control, control, control. That's all it is. That is the be-all and the end-all of a big team in football, in elite level football. It's the be-all and end-all. Get a team, get players who can control the game. Because when you travel, when you play at home, momentum is on your side. The fans are cheering you on. That's all well and good, but we're not Vibes FC. When we go to these away games, they will have the momentum. They will have the fans cheering them on. Let's not go away to these away grounds, right, and get battered and embarrassed. Let's not do that. Does that sound like a good idea? I don't know. Maybe people enjoy watching their beloved club go away to away games and getting battered left, right, and centre. Maybe that's their sick kink. Maybe that's what they love to see. Maybe that's what they love watching. But seriously, let's get players that help us control a game, and that's it. And it just goes back to my argument about people need to realise that this team doesn't play. Its average positions are nowhere near close enough to the box. Nowhere near. We're essentially still, even with the high line from time to time, we're still not close enough. We're still not close enough. Look at Manchester City when they get the ball. I mean, there was one clip that sufficed that I had a look at, that I watched, and it was just it's like when they were Aguero was still playing at the time, and Raheem Sterling was in the team, and these guys played the ball into the box, and they just kept passing the ball in the box. They kept passing the ball in the box, and they couldn't touch them. Couldn't touch them. It didn't lead to a shot or anything, but they were inside the box playing tiki-taka football, and they were trying to work these little half yards of space to open the opportunity to shoot. But it never came. But they still kept playing the ball in and around the box. They had like what, 7, 8, or 9 passes inside the box with the whole defensive team there. The whole opposition was sat inside of that 18-yard box, and they were still passing it around like nobody's business inside the 18-yard box between 3 or 4 players. Whereas we get close to the box and we get a nosebleed and then decide, you know what, I'm going to thunder cunt this from 40 yards out. And I'm going to then look at the sky, look at the ground, show frustration. Oh, that was so close. That was such a good chance. And everyone watching goes, oh, that was so close. And I'm like, you fucking idiot. Why did you do that? Why? What was the point? Where do you win with this? It's like if you looked at the odds for how many times you'd have to shoot from these positions and from this distance and see the ball go in, you're probably looking at a less than like what 1-2% chance of it happening. And if you're doing that, then technically, if you want to keep scoring with these very long range goals, if you want to keep scoring with those, then you best believe that you should be having an average of about 20 to 30 shots per game. An average. Not as like a maximum, no. I'm talking about going to Anfield, right, and just absolutely shitting all over them with about 25 to 30 shots and just turning the Kop end into a shitstorm. That's what you want to do if you want to favour the odds on taking shots from 40 yards and scoring with each and every one. It's not going to happen. So let's get players into the team that can give us better guarantees. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it takes. I hear with the Amrabat deal as well that nothing's been submitted yet, but drawing up proposals I think is on the cards. Whether they're talking about needing to sell players before we can sign Amrabat, I think could be potentially be sorted out super quick with just a simple player sale. Will Fish has just joined Hibs on another season-long loan. As you do. But yes, we are sat with 2 deals very close. Onana was being praised for midfielders' stats, build-up play, passing, skills with the ball, etc. We brought him to play in goal where was his sweeping and cross collecting for the second goals. Well, good to see you, Big T. With the Andre Onana, this is the thing, right? Now, I don't know if you were a De Gea lover or whether you just said, well, look, doesn't matter with the howlers that De Gea makes. All I care about is, making the saves and stopping the goals. And I mean, sure, we let in 2 goals. I mean, the first goal was offside, right? So, I mean, on the context of things, it shouldn't really have ever stood. But you can say, well, positionally, he came out too early and didn't stay on his line. That's one argument, case in point for the first goal. But the second goal, I mean, Hosselu is sat with no defenders anywhere near him. I mean, as much as he is aggressive, he's probably got the instructions. I mean, I'll tell you what, give or take it be the first game that he's actually played with United. Are we jumping the gun on saying whether this guy's fit for this team or not? Are we jumping the gun? Are we giving enough patience for Onana to potentially end up having big mistakes being made during the early stages of his United tenure? And seeing a little bit of what good he brings to this team, but also seeing perhaps the negatives. But this is the thing, is that on one side of things, you've got people frustrated that he's not stopped 2 goals. The other side of things is everyone's absolutely raving mad about, oh, look at what he does on the ball. We can already see how much better the team is, and all of this and that. And so it's like, but where are we actually standing on this? Because everyone wants to say different things. Now, I think what Ten Hag wants to do, Onana will do what he wants his goalkeepers to do, like in terms of contribution to the system. Now, as far as what he does just on goalkeeping basics, whatever he does on that respect, I think we're yet to actually see just how good he is as a goalkeeper. We're yet to see that. But one of the things that I think is just it's getting frustrating already is that everyone's just like, everyone's knickers are in a twist about this. I'm like, the guy needs some time. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, David De Gea, the ones that ended up falling in love with the guy, his first season was woeful for United. Then he started getting good. And I think it's just one of those things where you got to give him a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and understand, and a little bit of understanding from some people to know that this guy's, he's got a lot of work to do, but he's got a bit of time to do said work. Shazam, good to see you. I'm not worried about Onana. I'm more worried about the attack, and we need goals. Yeah, that's always been that's been my biggest concern for a long time. 100%, and that's why I think we need options. But what I've said, if you, I think you guys might have tuned in just after I said so. But I said that the team's average positioning is not close enough to the box. So one thing that's annoying me more than anything is that our attackers must have a phobia of the opposition's box, of the 18-yard and 6-yard box. Like, they've got a phobia of it. Like, the guys just don't want to shoot inside the box. They don't want to work the ball into the box at all. They want a snapshot at it. They want to play the ball where there isn't really much danger going for you. And it's like, we didn't really work the goalkeeper. We didn't work the Real Madrid goalkeeper that hard. And it's like more of the same things as to what happened last season. And we scored 58 goals in the league last season. We need to be targeting what I mean. I watched on Rance's stream with Saeed. They said, look, at least a minimum of 75. That's your target for a minimum amount of goals scored in the Prem. Because some of those goals you'll find will come in bigger away games. but that's basically as a minimum expectation for a Manchester United attack, for a Manchester United team. You've got to be scoring goals, because as good as your defense can be, if you don't match the same energy with your front lines, I mean, where's the balance going to be? Where's the balance going to come from? Because if we don't do the same thing, or if you don't do better than what we were doing last season, I mean, fourth, what is it, third place in the trophy? I don't know if that's going to get matched. I don't know if that achievement's going to get matched. So we've got to be scoring more goals. There are fans claiming he's the next best thing since sliced bread, so surely we can criticise also. Well, that's the thing. Criticise when a player does, where a player lacks, but also praise when a player does well. Now, I think as for a first game, he didn't have a terrible game. Onana did not have a terrible game. Like, he was okay, but obviously 2 goals were scored by Real Madrid, so there's always things to improve on, 100%. But what I can't stand are the people that get raving mad about a player, and it's like, seriously, it's like the David De Gea witch hunt folklore, where it's just like, well, David De Gea, he can't play out from the back, he can't do this, he can't do that. Oh, yeah, mistakes after mistakes after mistakes. Oh, but yeah, at the same time, some of his saves actually won us games, though, and it's just like, that's why I look at De Gea as not the biggest problem at the club. Meanwhile, we go into games and not score goals because our attack is too impotent, too much incompetence. The first question should be why offside or not, Bellingham was allowed to run straight through our defence unchallenged. As good as he does, Varane has the legs to play how does Varane have the legs to play how Ten Hag wants? That's something that I've picked up on as well. That Varane is losing a yard of pace. He has absolutely lost a yard of pace. I saw it in the Lyon game, and to various extents in the Leeds game as well. The guy was getting, other players who, by the way, are not fast players. They are not quick players, running alongside him, and he's getting beaten for pace by players that are not quick. So I think that's probably going to start to pose a question. If Varane has got the legs to do it. And that's why I think a centre-back also this season, a centre-back is going to be, it's probably going to be quite important for us to have, for us to sign. That's why someone like Axel Disasi, perhaps, coming in, I know he's not young 21, 22-year-old centre-back, he's about 25, and he's got a bit of height to him, but he's probably got a bit of pace to him. I know we've got other centre-backs out there that have got some pace on them. But it's, Varane losing his yards of pace or so, and as far as fitness is concerned, whether he's going to be able to play for majority of the season. I mean, sure, last season he had his minutes managed. That's all cool. That's well and good. But, that's last season. We're going into another season now, and he's not getting any younger. He's getting older. Same thing goes for Christian Eriksen. That guy is dead on his feet. He cannot run. He has got no energy. The only thing he has going for him is a little bit of quality on outlet. That is it. It's just Sam, I need at least 2 per game. Yeah, we'd need to score at least an average of 2 goals per game next season. We need to be targeting that. De Gea probably would have saved one of them goals, if not both. Can't remember the last time De Gea got chipped and he would have had a leg towards the second one. Plus the cross could have been collected. The cross could have been collected. That's the thing. There's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes in the games, and we can speculate. I mean, I didn't really watch the whole game. Couldn't see the whole game. I was fast asleep at the time, so I've only been confined to watching highlights. But based off of what people are saying, it's either one or two things. Andre Onana had the worst goalkeeping performance of all time, or he had the best goalkeeping performance of all time. So which one is it? Like, what the fuck are people saying? I look at it on the basis of he's conceded 2 goals, so he didn't have a fantastic game. He didn't, because goalkeepers to have good games need to have clean sheets. But he didn't have a terrible game where he wasn't the source of a lot of our problems. So, I mean, I cut it right down the middle. I say he's had an okay debut performance, an okay, because you can't have a good goalkeeping performance whilst conceding goals. So anyone to say, "Oh, well, he had a horrible performance. We should never have let De Gea go." Shut the fuck up. Oh, he had a fantastic performance, best goalkeeping performance I've ever seen. Oh, tears in my eyes, man. Also, for you lot, shut the fuck up. Seriously, it makes no goddamn sense. Like, why are people overhyping situations? Like, chill the fuck out. It's cut it right down the middle. The guy's had positives, but he's also had negatives. It's gonna happen. Just need to, like, put a lid on things, right? Put a lid on things. Not to say that any of you people react that way, but it's from what I've seen when I go to look to grabbing what people's perspectives on the game were, that I'm getting only extremities. I'm not getting very fair, balanced judgment on the player performance. Best way to put it is that he looks like a world-class midfielder that is okay in goal. Well, I probably wouldn't say as far as to say a midfielder. He's probably closer to a centre back that has just got insane distribution. That's probably what it is. I mean, the guy is. I've seen a video where something happens where the ball goes out for a goal kick for Real Madrid, and you can see the full view of the pitch, and Andre Onana's almost sat on the halfway line for a Real Madrid goal kick. I'm thinking, what the fuck? Like, I know he likes to come off his line. Don't get me wrong, he loves to come off his line. But what the fuck are you doing near the halfway line for a Real Madrid goal kick? The guy, the Real Madrid goalkeeper, could legitimately, if he felt like it, try to shoot from his own goal kick. He could have tried to shot from there. Why not? Literally, why not? Seriously, it's like the position. Like, don't get me wrong, this is not going to be the last controversy that we see surrounding Andre Onana. Like, there's probably going to be a game where we get absolutely embarrassed because Andre Onana just has a howler where perhaps he doesn't get rid of or get the ball out of his feet, gets closed down by a striker, and they just run it in. Like, they don't even shoot the ball into the net; they just run it in. Maybe they do a troll sort of goal where they just jump down and then just get on the floor and then crawl the ball in and just start like just nudge the ball in with your head or something just to take the piss. Maybe that happens some point this season. It's like that's the thing with the goalkeeper, right? That plays the way he does draws a lot of attention. A lot of people like to focus. They absolutely love to focus on Andre on goalkeepers or players, right? That have such a noticeable style of play or how to approach a game in their positions. I just think that we're going to see the positives, but also the crazy negatives of having a goalkeeper that plays the goalkeeping position like Andre Onana does. But I think it's just going to depend really on how it is we actually play next season. The only real concerns, the proper major concerns I've got, is with the front line though. So, my God, we need to be sorting out goals, and fingers crossed that with signing Amrabat and Rasmus Højlund, we can solve those problems. We can solve those dilemmas. And maybe even signing Joao Felix on loan as well. having him as another alternative option. Giselle says, I think he might be trying to overdo the sweeper keeper thing since he knows it's the main thing that brought him to United. To overdoing the sweeper keeper thing. I mean, I think one fine example of what perhaps a sort of goalkeeper that Andre Onana's trying to be is Manuel Neuer. You see the amount of times that guy is just over the top sweeper keeper, but he's made a noteworthy career out of it, right? Super confident with the ball at his feet. I mean, Manuel Neuer, the amount of times that guy's got clips of how he gets embarrassed by opposition attackers, we're probably going to see the same thing. So it's going to happen. Now, we can say, well, Andre Onana is going to be costing us a lot of goals, but then it's really going to depend on what happens with the rest of the fan base who sit there and rave about the player, saying, "But this is what we've always wanted." You know, the goalkeeper that comes off his line very quickly. He's quick to intercept the final ball in behind. You know, he's essentially playing in the average position of a centre back, so he can push the centre backs further forwards, and they can play more containing, keep ball possession style of play further back with a bit more of with a bit more control when we get opposition that like to press us. So a lot of question marks with Andre Onana, but I'm not really panicking with Andre Onana at all whatsoever. I'd say there's a few things, right, of panic stations that I think the United fan base need to chill out on. I mean, first things first, Andre Onana, don't go to panic stations. Like, some things, you know. Big T says, what goals did his footwork and passing contribute towards? Because it never contributed to a clean sheet. And that's what I think. One mistake in a knockout game and you're out. Well, that's the thing. I think every person's going to think differently. Think differently to things. To me, I'm not really too fussed about that on the concept that if one goal or one mistake or one goal that you concede because of a goalkeeping error, if one goal is going to be the deciding factor for knockout games, I suppose more the question that you should be worried about is with the rest of the team. If the goalkeeper is the be all and end all for a team, and that's the thing. That's why I criticize a lot of the fan opinions about the goalkeeping situations for like the past 2 years or so. Is David De Gea's the problem, but what about the rest of the team, guys? Oh, it's now watch this, right? Watch this space. It's now going to be Onana is the problem. I can guarantee it. Onana's going to be the problem. So what about the rest of the team, guys? What about the rest of the team? What about the centre backs that don't track a runner? What about the defensive midfields that get passed through too easily? What about the number 8s or number 10s that don't create solid chances or shoot from distance? What about the wingers that don't keep possession, get the ball taken off them too easily, and don't cross the ball into the box or switch up their style of play between minute 1 and 90 and contribute to creating from wide positions? What about the striker who plays with his back to goal 90% of the game, who's having to play second ball and doesn't get the link up or the service that he needs to create the chances to score to score the goals. If the ball never makes it to the box, then what's the point? So there's 10 other players on the pitch. For people who say, well, the goalkeeper's going to be the problem, it's like, seriously, it's being a bit of a ball ache with United fans sometimes. It really does, and I think there's an element of just pettiness to it. Like, I just can't understand it with some fans. That's my worry with Varane being further up. He'll struggle to get back. You're gonna see. I tell you what. I think maybe Varane could end up being quite responsible for a lot of games this season where we concede more goals than we should be because of a player beating him off the dribble. Because it's not just beating him from the halfway line, but it's if he's not moving, if he's not able to get off his mark. Because that's the thing. If his acceleration's not good, right, players are going to run rings around him. And that's the thing. It takes for players to work the half yard of space to be able to get the shot away. And if Varane's not going to be able to cover the half yard, then we're going to have mad problems next season. Mad problems. Don't worry about high lines. Worry about the whole game. For 90 minutes, Rafael Varane getting targeted. Like, in the air, he's fine, he's all catered for. But my God, if he gets targeted big time by pacey players, it's over. It is absolutely over. I think we need a proper number 8. Bruno is a 10 and Mount isn't a good all-rounder, but he ain't a game changer. Well, yeah, absolutely. One thing that didn't make any sense to me is why the fuck was what is this obsession with Bruno or Mason Mount playing out wide? Why are we playing creative midfielders in wide areas? Was Anthony not on the bench? Like, what is this about? If he's your best distributor, why the fuck are you not trying to get someone in? Where's Palestri? Where's Diallo? Where are these sorts of players? You know, it's like you sell wingers, right? You sell Alanga, right? You bench Palestri, you bench Diallo, you bench Anthony, just to stick someone who is usually does better for your numbers, playing more centrally. But you're just like, nah, you know what? I'm going to play him out wide. Why? What is that about? See, I think that's going to cost us next season in the attacking side of the game as well. I think that's going to, it's some decisions have seriously got to be looked into, right? They've got to be looked into. I mean, certain things like I'm not gonna panic about these sorts of things. I think perhaps we will come good, and maybe the Dortmund game happens, and we'll all be back in a positive mood and happy campers again. That might be the case, but some decisions I just don't understand it. Anthony needs moving to the left or bench. I'm not joking. He can't play right wing. The guy's got one-dimensional syndrome, though. The guy is literally Brazilian Iron Robin, but he thinks he can do what Iron Robin does, but he can't, right? And the thing is he's got this season to fix up. The fix up or shut up and pack your bags and leave. It's as simple as that. I mean, as far as it's concerned, moving him out wide, I mean, you might as well say to Anthony, look, I don't want you scoring goals, Anthony. I want you creating. I want you to put crosses in. If your left foot is that good, then go and create chances for the strike force if you play on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, you are not using your right foot. Why? Why are you not using your right foot? In any degree, like the amount of times, even when he doesn't put a cross in or doesn't shoot, he doesn't use his right foot. I don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense. Lindelof might take his place if he's caught a couple of times. Ten Hag will drop him. Well, if it's notable that he is being targeted, and if teams consistently keep pressing him, and if he looks like the weak link, right, then people will eventually pick up on it. So if it's one or two bad games, right, they'll consistently play him. They will continue to play him. But if it's every game, like it was with Maguire, then he's going to get dropped 100%. I do have some positivity. What's against Martinez is I love how he is going in strong in friendlies. Passion and fight should be there permanently. Exactly. And I said, look, give me, right, if I want a dreamscape scenario, give me 11 Martinez's. Give me 11. Give me 11 Lissandros. I'll be happy. I don't care if nobody on the pitch has to jump to win a header to beat Lissandro Martinez FC. I don't care. I want people who actually love this club and who absolutely above, or come hell or high water, want to win the game. And that's just that's phase one. That's covering first base with the competitive elements of football. And Martinez understands what it means to play football at the highest level and to compete at the highest level. He understands what it means. So yeah, I do enjoy watching Martinez play. I do enjoy that the fight and passion and desire that he has 100%. I absolutely enjoy watching him do it. Kick the shit out of the opposition players. I can't talk about the decision to put Bruno on the right because I have to get Ten Hag out banners. Well, I mean, the thing is, right, is that Eric Ten Hag, I think, has the makings to be the guy that wins us the next Premier League title or Champions Leagues, right? He has the makings to do that. He's got the possibilities to do that. The big question marks are where his negatives, do they become more significant as time wears on? Because sometimes this happens. Sometimes a manager comes in, you see all the positives, you're told about one or two negatives, you're like, okay, well, we'll take it with a pinch of salt. We'll say, well, the manager's not perfect. So what happens is you'll get all the good things happen. Then the manager, you'll start to notice a few managerial mistakes. We saw it last season. Team selections, there were games where we were left scratching our heads thinking, what does Ten Hag see that nobody else in this fan base can with this team selections? It's like it was. We can see where the frustration is going to come from fan perspectives regarding Ten Hag as the manager. There's a lot of decisions that I seriously question what on earth it is that Ten Hag is thinking. Same goes for every other fan. They'll have question marks, right? And as long as the criticism is fair and balanced, where it's like you're not just saying that Ten Hag's a shite manager because we lost a game. I mean, this is in retrospect to a pre-season friendly. So everyone steps up. Everyone steps up tenfold when it comes to the Premier League or when it comes to the actual proper competitive games in the season where results matter a lot more. So maybe things happen in once we've kicked off for the season where everything that we had question marks about just suddenly get washed away. That's possible. But the one thing, Big T, that I would say, that if ever it comes a point where it's just like you can't see any rhyme nor reason as to why you should say that Ten Hag deserves to stay, because I don't want to have to fall out with people, right? And I'm very much wary that if I ever start to see, it's like what I said, that if we don't win a trophy next season on that merit basis, Ten Hag would have had regression based off of last season. He would have had regression on success-wise. So on that basis, on the technicality, his job should be on the line. He should be potentially sacked. Now, there's going to be people who will hear that and straight away the alarm bells are ringing. Cancel culture is on your ass, and it's just like, if ever something it gets to that point, like, don't be afraid to actually make that jump, like, and just say, look, it's got to this point now. And it's like the same thing has happened for a lot of fans that have jumped onto manager out when it's crossed a certain line. I don't think we're anywhere near the line of being Ten Hag out by any means, but it's like, if it ever gets to that point, I'm not going to sit there and start talking toxic positively about a manager that shouldn't be in the job position. But I'm not going to sit there and say, "Oh, Ten Hag's shit. He's absolutely rubbish." It's just like, but think about everything else, right? Just Sam, still don't see why we signed Mount. He's not shown anything in the games he has played. Mount 4 games, 0 goals, 0 assists, and it's like I've made a case in point for Mount that he could be like the unsung hero type player, where he doesn't have to get the goals or assists, but you could contribute to everyone else taking the numbers instead of him. Now, Mason Mount has always had a side to him where he can score goals. For Chelsea, for Derby, right, he's had a side where he's been in goal scoring positions. Now, I'm probably not going to read too much into it until it gets to a point. I mean, what was it? Rants and Bants said that some players, right, are only playing because the manager likes them. And it's not to do with what they actually contribute number-wise or numerically. It's just because the manager likes them. And that maybe even that is a sort of stubbornness, because we know Ten Hag's a stubborn guy. We know he is. But if that stubbornness starts to impair judgment, to say, well, this player's going to play just because I like him, like Mason Mount, but he legitimately doesn't contribute anything, then yet again, the attention's going to be on the manager. There's going to be problems. There's going to be questions. And it ties into this comment here. We're not near there yet, but questionable decisions are creeping in. And some people perhaps will start to notice things a lot more this season than they would have done last season. I know a lot of people said that Ten Hag needed to be sacked after the Liverpool game, after the 7-0 loss to Liverpool. And it's not just United fans, or some United fans, but rival fans as well. They would have said, look, you've just lost 7-0 to your biggest rivals. You either get sacked, or you own up to it and say, look, that cannot happen again, drop the whole team. I make the argument for that in saying that we still had 2 other tournaments to play for at that time. So it wouldn't make any sense to drop everyone to end up playing a bunch of kids that would end up losing games and knocking ourselves out of each and every other tournament. And based off of that, what would rival fans be saying at the end of the season? They'd be laughing at us saying, haha, you finished 10th place and you got yourself knocked out of all of these trophies by playing kids, haha. So then we'd look like even bigger idiots because we didn't decide to actually play players that could win us the games. So it's like, for the people that then go to the extremities and say drop everyone to set an example, it's like throwing and deliberately trying to lose games, because your youth teams cannot win games at the highest level with any ease whatsoever. That if you ever win games, you're turning to a relegation team. It's just the complicated nature of or the fan complexion. We're potentially going into the season with no striker or Højlund, who needs time, and will hopefully gets about 9 goals and a few assists. With a keeper who takes risks at the back, I'm uneasy. What I want to see is sign Amrabat, right? So we can play with a bit more of a controlling element. We've got a goalkeeper that takes risks. But if we have a manager that wants to play, like, think of it this way. If we play defensive counter-attacking football with Andre and Arna in the club, we could very well be fucked. We could. We could very well be fucked. And this is the thing. This is the concern that I had with the Hoyland signing. Now, there's a lot of people who go raving mad about this Hoyland signing. I see people saying, but the goals and assists don't matter at Atalanta because you can fit into a system, and you might then get a whole heck of a lot more out of him than he did at the previous club. But it's just like, well, Atalanta were a possession-based team. They were an attacking team. They played expansive attacking football. They've not gone off of that project or that style of play for the past about 4 years or so. They've been on that train. So if a striker, young or not, if he's got the potential, I mean, even that Sturm Graz at his previous club, because I mean, he's only been at Atalanta for one season, but his previous club, he wasn't a mad goal scorer there. No, sir, he was not. He was not bagging goals for fun in the Austrian league. Benjamin Sesko had better joy in the Austrian league than Rasmus Højlund did. I mean, word's gone quiet on the Sesko front, but yeah, that is what it is. That is what it is. Apparently, the guy's a perfect fit for Ten Hag's system. Maybe it happens where we sign Rasmus Højlund, and everything's all well. Everything's rosy in the garden. He goes and bags himself like 15, 16 league goals. Rashford gets up his goal scoring numbers. Perhaps Anthony or Sancho on the right contributes to about 10 goals. 5-10 goals thereabouts each, and then perhaps we're all rosy in the garden. Ten Hag or the club may have scouted him before joining. He joined Atalanta, possibly. I mean, I don't know what it is or how far or how deep into the market that your likes of Ten Hag or the United scouting actually goes. I mean, if Zion Suzuki can be a viable scouted target for a backup goalkeeping position, then evidently we do go quite far and deep into football, and obviously someone somewhere has taken notice of different elements to Højlund's game, barring his goal scoring contributions, and thought that there is potential makings for a great player there. So it's just like I say, look, if it's Ten Hag's man, sign him. Let Ten Hag prove that he is the perfect signing, that is the signing that we need in the number 9 position going forward. I've heard that whilst Højlund is being bedded in, that Rashford's going to be playing the striker position in every other game. I'm thinking, what the fuck? I mean, Rashford has just said that he wants to play that he prefers the left wing. We know that he's scored more goals from the left wing position, I'm pretty sure, than he did from the striker position last season. And it's just like, well, okay then. So what about Anthony Martial? Because I mean, if we're not getting rid of him and he's fit enough to play, and if he's sat on the bench but Højlund's not playing either, I mean, that to me sounds a bit sceptical as well. Another positive is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, statistically one of the best one-on-one defenders in world football over the last 5 years. He is now added on touch football, one-touch football to his game. And yeah, I mean, some players will progress, and I think we might see that come next season as well, that certain players might excel. I mean, a lot more people, I mean, I don't know. As far as player progression goes, I know Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we want him to progress. We want to see Malacia progress. We want to see, who else? Garnacho progress. We want to see Diallo or Pelestri or Anthony progress. We want to see a lot of progression from players throughout the team this season. Whether we're going to see that progression, I don't know. And if we are playing the Ten Hag style of football, I think that will help their case a lot more in terms of how much they grow or how well they do moving forwards. I think that's going to be a big questioning factor for for a lot of fans, if we get to, say, November, December time, and we're still sat here saying the same thing about players that we were saying about them last season, then we're going to be like, oh, okay, so something's not right here. Something really, really isn't right here. Nobody was calling for Højlund before he was linked. Seen it with other players also. As soon as Eric says he wants a player, the fans find ways to race about said player. to rave about said player. I'll tell you what this rings or sounds like is the Arsenal fan base. Seriously, if a player gets linked to Arsenal, go and ask them, can you tell me about the back? It's like, let's take an example, right? Let's just say Arsenal get linked to Ollie Watkins, right? Just as an example. So Ollie Watkins gets linked to Arsenal. Go ask an Arsenal fan. They could probably tell you what his first words were as a baby. And it's just like, oh, so you were there when he spoke his first words? It's like, yes, he said this. Like, there's so much bullshit that comes from the Arsenal fan base when it comes to players being linked to the club, and people, giving backstories or statistics and everything, and doing compilation videos. And it's just like, bro, of course he can look like a fantastic player at one club, but he's got to do it at a different level, in a different country, at a different pace, at a different intensity. There's a lot of factors or tests that he's got to pass before he can be regarded in the same bracket as what people are rating him as. It's like people are running before they can walk. Or in some cases, for certain fans, they are trying to run, but they don't have any legs. They're stuck to a wheelchair. They've got no crutches, but they're going to still go. They're going to still fight like hellfire and brimstone to start running like an Olympic sprinter. But you have no legs, you've got no crutches, you're stuck to a wheelchair, and you have no prosthetics. Good luck to you, but your face is going to be hurting for a very long time if you decide to start running. Same thing with the Arsenal, United, Tottenham, Chelsea, whoever it is, the fan base that go crazy mad about a player. If you start running without legs for what this player is going to do for your club, it's going to hurt like bloody hell when you get 3, 4, 5, 6 months in, 1, 2, 3 seasons in, and this player has not lived up to expectations, because everyone will remember what you said. Because that's the thing about football content creation, or football Twitter, football Instagram, wherever it is. If you say things, you'll get clipped up. I mean, some people are petty to go take what people say completely out of context, right, and clip a certain part, but then not record the whole clip and say, oh, this is what that person thinks. It's always like it's like a war of disinformation. Perform first, then get praised, I say. Yeah, exactly. It's like when people say Kai Havertz signing for Arsenal, people saying, oh, well, look at what he's done at Chelsea. He's scored one significant goal in his entire stint, 3 years at Chelsea. He scored one significant goal in the Champions League final. And it's just like people say, well, look, Kai Havertz will come good. How would you know? How would you know? So far, Kai Havertz has not had a well-beating performance. He's not even had a good performance yet for Arsenal. Why are people saying he's going to come good? You don't know that. You're expecting a PE teacher, right, to come out with a bit of tactical ball, know how to play football knowledge, and you've got to turn Kai Havertz into the prime Bayer Leverkusen silky German world-class player. It's not going to happen, is it? Recent history will tell you every reason in the book as to why it's not going to happen. It's like Mason Mount, where people say, oh, I think I'm warming up to the signing. I think he's going to do fantastic. I was so skeptical about the signing because I was just like, bro, have you not watched Chelsea? Have you not watched Mason Mount? Of course, yeah, cool. The team played really poorly last season, and everyone essentially gets a free pass. But Mason Mount, before this god-awful season, was not doing world-class things. Sorry, he wasn't. But we've paid, what, 60 million for him? Like, bro, we signed essentially as it stands without seeing a good or great performance from Mason Mount yet. We're talking about Mason Mount is only really here. We've spent £65 million on Mount because the manager likes him or because he's played for him before. We don't actually know from a factual standpoint the reason as to why we've signed Mason Mount. We don't factually know. There's no numbers to factually say, well, this is why we signed Mason Mount. It's like that's one of the reasons why I never really liked the idea of Mason Mount. I'm trying to pick out positives to say, well, that's a reason why you could argue for the case of Mason Mount. But obviously, it's not happened so far. We've still got more preseason games to play, and then the season itself. So maybe we get proved wrong. Maybe we do. Maybe we get proved horribly wrong. Maybe I become the most famous person on Twitter with my anti-Mount or Maguire or Scott McTominay opinions or Højlund opinions. We could end the season. Højlund sat on 40 goals in the league or in all competitions. Harry Maguire played most centre-back games with most clean sheets. Scott McTominay with the highest passing success rate and tackle success rate and most aerial duels won. And Mason Mount with the most assists. I mean, maybe that, it's probably lesser odds than Leicester had to win the league and the season they won it. But whatever happens, maybe I'll get clipped up and made to look like an absolute clown. But, based off of what I've read up on, what I've seen, what common sense or, common logic says to me, is that we shouldn't expect this. We shouldn't expect, things like that to happen. We shouldn't expect it. We want it to happen by every means. We want it and we demand it, but we probably know we're not going to get it. So absolutely, perform first, then get praised. Let's have a little read. See if there's anything else that's breaking. West Ham are eager to sign eager to sign Scott McTominay, who is wanted by David Moyes. There is currently a gap in valuation. The club hope United soften their stance. More like United half their stance. I don't know. Can't say you've truly you can't truly say you've made it until you've been clipped up. Absolutely. If I've made it to the front page of everyone's recommended YouTube videos on a clip up channel or something, like, I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm not monetized at the moment, but Jesus Christ, if I had a monetized channel and I said something that got me mad trending, like what? Let's take an example, Adam22. If I say shit like Adam22 does, mate, I'm going to be a billionaire within days. I could be a millionaire within days. If I talk with the common sense that Adam22 has, I'll be a millionaire because of how controversial things are, right? It's just how it is. It's just how it is. I mean, most people get. It's a funny thing. It's the amount of people, right, who do this, who do football YouTube and speak their minds, right, pick their brains on a camera, and the amount of times that people go into these channels and they comment, "Oh, you're so negative." Why'd you watch it then? Just click off the video. Don't click on it. Click off it. You're commenting just to spite somebody, but in the process of spiting them, you've helped them. You want someone, right, to become irrelevant and not trend, stop talking about them. Your thoughts on Rory Jennings? I mean, the guy, if there's anything to sum it up, the guy went and joined TalkSport. Do I need to say anything else? If you're on Talksport, you are there because you do a good job at dividing the people. You do a very good job at dividing people. Divisive comments and takes that really get people to question everything. And people to say question everything, but it's almost as though, well, they're not really questioning the subject that you're talking about. They're questioning you. They're questioning if you're all right in the head. It's like Rory Jennings has had some mad takes, really mad takes, and half the stuff he says, I can't understand. Why? Why would you say this? Why would you think like that? I can't understand it. But some things, though very rare, very, very rarely, he will say that actually people, yeah, actually no, that's agreeable. We can be on the we can be on the same page with that. But I mean, the guy has takes as successful as his acting career. I mean, the guy features on a Doctor Who episode, and that's it. Bonglahor makes a living trolling on there, mate. The guy, honestly, his biggest act is literally speaking like he's got the mind of a 5-year-old. Like you'll sit there and say, I think it's right. I think the manager Ten Hag, right, is worse than Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer because look at look at the way that United could concede goals. You never saw that under Ollie. It's like, my God, like what, like whenever Gabriel Bonglahor, if he ever comes onto a TV channel, right, you're going to hear a lot of clicking sounds in the air, right? You're going to hear a lot of clicking sounds. You're probably wondering, what's that clicking I can hear? What it actually is everyone spamming on their remotes to switch the channel. So you're walking out somewhere and you're hearing a load of clicking. Oh, Gabriel Bonlahor's just come on people's televisions. It's pretty much it. I mean, I'm probably going to wrap this stream up now because there's no breaking news there. Let's have another little bit of fun for like until like 1 hour 30. Is there anybody else that you want me to give my thoughts and feelings on? Should we be reckless and call out anybody else? I can listen to Simon Jordan for ages. I don't always understand what he's talking about, but he comes across clever. He comes across clever, but his actions of business aren't very clever. I mean, his lack of success as a Crystal Palace owner. But yeah, Simon Jordan. There's various things that I don't understand with Simon Jordan, with some of the things he says. I just can't understand it. It's like with most people on Talksport. I mean, it is crazy. It is crazy. Anybody on Talksport, it's like Troy Deeney, like massive big ups to Troy Deeney. Big ups to Troy Deeney. That guy could have been earning wages from Talksport, right? The guy left because it's like they ask you to be controversial. They ask you to not be genuine and speak what's actually on your mind. They tell you to stir shit on live on the air. That is the moral compass of Talksport. That's what they do. So Troy Deeney left Talksport because it's like, no, I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm not going to talk absolute shit that is not genuine. So there you go. So that's all self-explanatory on the case of Talksport there. Um, can't remember the names, but Laguna and Spurs fellas are funny together, banting each other. Um, was that on Talksport or was that on YouTube? Because I know that there's troops and expressions when they start just going at each other. So I know that there's that combination where they're just absolutely on Talksport. Ah, Jesus. Um, let me have a look. Um, don't actually know. Uh, Jamie O'Hara, yeah, Jamie O'Hara, the Tottenham bloke, and then what was it? Don't know if it was Ray Parlour or what's his face, Martin Keown. Yeah, Jamie O'Hara. I mean, Jesus Christ, that guy's got some deluded takes. He has. He's a great Talksport. He's very well qualified to be on Talksport. The more deluded you are, the more you can get onto Talksport. Maybe I'm going wrong with my career choices. Maybe I literally go and start spurging out on a camera, right? Maybe I'll spurg out on a camera and maybe I'll get a role on Talksport as well. Last one, Goldbridge on Talksport. Why? He answers on a postcard. Honestly, the guy's got a bigger platform being on the United stand than he has being on Talksport. Because most people listen to Talksport because they get away from Mark Goldbridge. But now he's on Talksport, and it's just like I really don't know. There's a lot of questions that surround the Talksport and the people that are involved with it. It's like Goldbridge. I just sometimes I really don't know with that guy. Sometimes I really, really don't know. It's like he could do God's work with his channel, right? He could do God's work on United Stand, and then you'll go onto Talksport or onto Just Football or That's Football, right? Um, and then you'll say something where it's just like, but you built yourself up so high, you've just knocked the whole like Jenga block tower down. It's I really, really don't know. But anyways, we've gone for an hour and a half now, and nothing's really trending anymore. Um, is he good at what he does, or is it just that he did it first? um, I think it's probably a little bit of he's. I'll probably say it's a bit of he's good at what he does, rather than that he's done it first. Because there's a lot of channels that have been going on for a while. I say he's done it first. He was one of the few, because there was quite a few watch along channels at the time when he was starting to do it back in sort of like the early years of Van Gaal. And yeah, he essentially had a stream about the size of this, or the size of, what is it? Someone like United Philosophy, right? He had a channel about that size at the time, and he was live streaming to like the odd like 50 to 100 people, and I think back then he looked a lot more like someone who was just doing it because yeah, it's a lot of fun. I do it because I enjoy doing watch-alongs and enjoyed doing things for the community, right? He was doing it for everyone else, but it's just as time's gone on, the guy's essentially um, turned into a celebrity figure, and he's developed a side to him where it's like he rides on a celebrity style basis or status. He rides like he is a celebrity, and it's just like, bro, yeah, being a YouTuber. I mean, the guy, like, if you want to talk about being celebrities, like, you go to, like, essentially, he is turning himself into a celebrity. I mean, with the live shows, for an example, when he does when he goes and stands up on stage. I mean, that's a celebrity presenter or something. Has guests come on his show, has his own studio, so he's a news anchor as well. So he's basically managed to turn the United Stand into his personal channel, turned it into an empire. It's literally what Robbie's done with their TV. It is. It's like what Robbie has done with their TV, and a lot of people make the joke. He's become bigger than the channel, kind of thing. Yeah, he's essentially become an entire TV network. He's become a YouTube network. Like, he's got employees. He's got a lot of people doing a lot of work for him. It's like his thumbnails. He doesn't do his thumbnails. He doesn't do the stream titles or anything. Like, literally, the only thing that Mark Goldbridge does now are just go live, talk things through. Someone else is controlling the graphics in the background, and then he will conclude the show, or he will read chat and occasionally engage with what's in chat. Someone will say something, or someone's just like, "Oh, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?" And this just like, well, he'll read out the question, but then he won't answer it, and he'll just start reading other chats as well on super chats and stuff. And it's just like, so you're for the fans, you're a YouTube community, but you're not completely full inclusive to fans. It's like the Discord call-in shows. Where did those go? A lot of people used to enjoy those. What happened to those? I was on 2 of those Discord call-in shows. I was on 2 of them. What happened to them? Where'd they go? I remember being on one of those Discord calling shows. It's funny when you insult super chatters. No, that's the thing. Yeah, as far as people say it was engagement and all of that, super chatters. Yeah, if you, it's like I understand that side of thing. When people insult super chatters, I think it's quite funny when it happens as well. But it's just like, people will be stupid like that. People will literally donate money, or they will pay, right? Say something completely stupid and wax lyrical, and Mark Goldbridge or whoever it is, the host of the show, will read it out and slander them, and then it's like, sometimes he'll read a comment to himself, or in his mind, or he'll read a comment out in chat, and it's just like, okay, bona fide Bone Man 95, you idiot, you are banned from the chat. And it's like, all right, okay, cool. I mean, I don't see what anyone said, so I mean, the chat goes by so fast, I can't keep up with it. So it can be random, it can be spontaneous. It's like his video this morning. The video was like, what, 8 minutes 37 seconds or something. He was literally midway through talking a sentence, and it just cuts off. The video cuts off. I was just like, bro, what the fuck? What happened there? Apparently in the comment section, he said that there was some gremlins thing. I was like, right, okay. You must know Zayn Miyasi, he is famous. He pays to be laughed at. I want to know, where the fuck does Zayn Miyasi get all of his money from? Where the fuck does he get it from? Seriously, like, bro, once I'm monetized, do you fancy dropping me a super chat of about 50 quid every single stream? Do you fancy doing that for me? Do you fancy being a right G and a top G and donate to me every single stream? Yeah, as soon as I get monetized, would you find it, the kindness in your heart to share this generosity with me as you do with all the other content creators? And that's what's crazy. The guy literally goes onto so many channels and does it. Like, the guy probably spends upwards of about 200 to 300 quid every single day. Where do you get this money from? What the fuck? Shazam, I wonder if he does that to AFTV. I don't think I've actually seen him on AFTV. Then again, I don't really watch AFTV streams, so I could be the judge of that. Maybe he does. I wonder if he's Goldbridge's alter ego, a way to spend some super chat earnings. Imagine that. I mean, Goldbridge, I'll tell you what, Goldbridge is actually, yeah, for people that wonder how much Goldbridge makes, mate, the guy's going to be a millionaire. The guy is a millionaire. I mean, Robbie is probably thereabouts in the echelons of being a millionaire, but Mark Goldbridge has branded his thing so much. And with how much revenue the guy generates, it's like with his live shows and the amount of super chats he gets, mate, he earns more. You can earn more from a single stream than I would in about 3 to 4 months worth of work. Like, bro, one of the, like, probably the richest football YouTube account on the platform. Probably. Like, the guy's got to be filthy rich. Good point, Shazam. Imagine not giving all that money to your own club's fan channel. That's the thing. Because everyone, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that will be buddy with rival fans, and I'm all for that. I mean, I was on the Long-Haired Yeti's Caves channel last night. I was live for 3 hours straight until midnight, talking about a load of shit, like literal shit, right? But big ups to Yeti, man. Like, shout out to him. Absolute legend. But it was an interesting. It was like a therapeutic rant session for about 3 hours. Mr. Beast must make some Benjamins. Mate, Mr. Beast, it's interesting with Mr. Beast because he's got a lot of he's got a very successful YouTube channel, but it's just like I can't see like with how much money he spends or how much he probably has. I mean, supposedly he's heading towards becoming the first, or he's very close to becoming the first YouTube billionaire, not millionaire, billionaire. I'm like, where the like, how has he managed to make as much money as he has? I mean, absolutely insane amounts of money. Like, absolutely crazy. I thought I could hear something going on outside, so I just had to check. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap things up, people. Do be sure that you smash a like on the stream if you haven't done so already, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks for tuning in and chatting to me and filling out my afternoon, making things more entertaining for me. I appreciate all the support that everyone gives me. Real legends of the channel. Really enjoy it always. So yeah, big ups to you, Big T. And also big ups to Shazam. Big ups to everybody else that also drops in. Always good to see you. Always regulars in the channel. And we move onwards. So probably see me again tomorrow. Hopefully there's some good positive things to talk about tomorrow. And more news on the transfer front as well. So fingers crossed that we get some good things to feast upon. Just seeing a message there. My YouTube playback over here, the chatting is much more live than it is on my StreamYards. You are great. Lots of creators struggle to complete an hour of a show, and that's the thing. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to stream for a long time. Like beforehand, I could do even up to 45 minutes of streaming, but because there's no viewers on the channel or nobody chatting, I'd cover all the topics super quick. So I'd then have to spend like the last 15-20 minutes just scrolling through, picking up random topics. I mean, there's other streams I've done before where I don't even do just United stuff. I do all the other club stuff as well, and just to find things to talk about. But having people in the channel and chatting for something for people that I can engage with is a massive help to this channel. Actually, or the shows having a good flow to them. And it can have a nice sort of back and forth, a bounce back here and back and forth nature to it. So it's yeah, massively appreciate it. But I'm going to finish things there. Big ups to everybody, and we'll be seeing you again in the next one. Goodbye for now.